You know, sir, Andrew Holness them is a wicked set of Ross people, boy. Yeah. Listen, you can take back all your citizens from foreign countries when they are deported. For instance, if the United States of America decides that this Jamaican right here is not fit to live in Jamaica, he has broken our laws and he must go, then send his ass back to Jamaica and Jamaica must take him back because Jamaica is his land of birth. I perfectly agree with that. However, how about if the individual was not born in Jamaica? How does the Jamaican government get around with striking a deal with the United States of America government to accept somebody into Jamaica that was not born in Jamaica on a deportation? Welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. If you've never been here before, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on this channel or every time we update a story on this channel. We follow our stories through all the way to the end. Even though some stories takes years to complete, we still stay on them. So again, hit that bell, circle the bell, and click the option that says send me all notifications so you're notified every time a new video goes up on SouFLoTV. For those who like to complain about my sound, I'm traveling at the moment. I don't have my microphone with me, so this one is going raw into the editor. So if it sounds a little off, then my apologies. Without further ado, let's get right into the material. Deportation time now. Whole heap of Jamaicans getting fling out of the United States of America. Jamaica has been told to brace itself for 5,320 or so Jamaicans that are supposed to be heading that way. Kamina Johnson actually recently admitted that 2,000 and something were already ready to be sent to Jamaica, so it's nothing new. But how do we end up with someone who was not even born in Jamaica? And they're justifying this. A U.S. soldier son who was born on an army base in Germany is deported to Jamaica. Now, this story is close to me in so many ways. For those of you who followed SouFLoTV for a while now, you will know that I proudly served in the United States Army as an infantry soldier, and I also was stationed in Germany for quite a few years. So, seeing this story that says the soldier's son that was born in Germany on a military base is deported to Jamaica, it kind of hits close to home, right? I am of the impression that wherever our base is around the world, if a child is born to a service member on that base, that child is supposed to have U.S. citizenship, especially if it's a service member. However, let's get into the details. So, the news we're getting, it says that a man was born to an active duty member of the United States military on an army base in Germany, and he was born in 1986. Before coming to the United States as a child, he was recently deported to Jamaica last week. Jamaica, though, is a country that he has never been to before, according to news reports. Jermaine Thomas, who is American born because he was born on a U.S. base. However, his father is a Jamaican born man, and his father became a U.S. citizen during his 18 years military career. So his daddy served this military for 18 years. and spent much of his early life moving from base to base with his father and his mother, the latter a citizen of Kenya at the time of his birth. So his mother is from Kenya, his father is from Jamaica, but his father was a naturalized citizen who did 18 years in the U.S. military. At 11 years old, after his parents' divorce and his mother's second marriage to another soldier, he went to live with his father, who by that time had retired in Florida. Unfortunately, though, his father passed away in 2010 from kidney failure shortly after he arrived to live with him there. Much of his life after that was spent in Texas, where he started to live a very rough life. He was homeless, and then he started being in and out of jail. It's unclear whether exactly he was first ordered to leave the country, but court records from 2015 shows a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court, in which the U.S. Department of Justice argued that he was not a citizen of the U.S. simply because he was born on a U.S. Army base in Germany. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Department of Justice, upholding the U.S. Court of Appeals decision and denying him petition for a review of the deportation order, saying in part that his father did not meet the physical presence. Mind you, his father did 18 years in the army and retired and died shortly after of kidney failure. And the paperwork says his father did not meet the physical presence requirement of the statute in force at the time of Thomas's birth. The court also noted that Thomas' prior criminal convictions, one of them was domestic violence, and 2 crimes involving moral turpitude without U.S., German, or Jamaican citizenship. Thomas was known as stateless. Now, although he remained in the United States, most recently though, he was living in Killeen, which is a city about an hour north of Austin in Texas. He told news media reporters that deportation to Jamaica started with an eviction from his apartment. Everything was good, and then this situation happened, and it just snowballed out of control. He said that while moving his belongings out of the apartment, he was arrested by local police on suspicions of trespassing, which is a misdemeanor in Texas. He told the courts, his court-appointed lawyer, that he would likely stay in jail for the better part of a year while he awaits a trial. By this point, he had lost his job while he was in lockup, and he signed a release agreement with certain conditions. But instead of being released from the Bell County jail where he was at, he was transferred to an Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention camp just north of Houston, Texas, where he was detained for another 2.5 months. At this point, he is wondering, why am I in an immigration detention center? Now, in Kingston, he told the news media reports that he's living in a hotel in Kingston, although he's unsure who is paying for the hotel. The U.S. or the Jamaican government, he does not know. And he also does not know how long he will be able to stay at that hotel that he is living in Kingston. So he is unsure on how to get a job, or if he's even allowed to work. He added that he's unsure if he's even legal in this country, Jamaica, at all. If you're in the U.S. Army and the Army deploys you somewhere and you've got to have your child over there, and your child makes a mistake after you pass away, and you put your life on the line for that country, are you going to be okay with them just kicking your child out of the country? This is what he said on a phone call that he had with a U.S. reporter while he was in Jamaica, because they have deported him to Jamaica. Neither ICE nor the Department of Homeland Security has responded when they were asked about what is going on with him and why did he get deported. It's crazy to me that somehow Jamaican authorities looks at this person and says, send him to us. There are Jamaicans who they cannot deport to Jamaica right now because, and I covered one of those stories recently. Remember the Jamaican guy who they think he's Jamaican because he came into the country. He first made contact with Homeland Security back in the 80s. But they're not sure if Jamaica was a conduit for him. Like he was coming from, say, some other country and he traveled through Jamaica and then landed in the U.S. traveling from Jamaica. So they're reaching out to the Jamaican authorities for years now. The Jamaican authorities still to this day cannot find any birth record of him being from Jamaica. Therefore, they won't accept him. And he's been in the United States of America all these years. And they want to send him to Jamaica, but they can't because Jamaica has no record of him being from Jamaica. So in this particular case right here, I can't understand how come the same principle does not apply. Because this man was not born in Jamaica, regardless of where his mom or dad is from. And why didn't they send him to Kenya, where his mother is from? Why did they send him to Jamaica? His father honorably served. He, as a small child, followed his father around. If you served in the U.S. military and you served an extensive period of time, you know that every couple of years you get to change posts. So you'll be stationed at one place, and before you know it, your next duty station will be in somewhere else. Some people are stationed in Germany, and their next duty station they look to go to Hawaii. And their next duty station they look to come stateside, and they'll be in Fort Benning, Georgia. And their next duty station they're looking to go to Korea. He was moving around throughout his childhood with his father, as his father was being transferred to different duty stations by the U.S. military. His daddy did 18 honorable years. I honestly don't think if his father was alive that they would have actually deported him to Jamaica. But because his father is dead, can't speak on his behalf, he's left out here by himself. And again, the rules that I am aware of is that as a service member, if I have my wife with me and we're stationed in Germany on a U.S. base and my wife gets pregnant, they don't send us back to stateside to have the baby, go back to America and have the baby so the baby will be known as an American child. That child is born on a military base, hospital, or even if they're born in a German hospital, it is still under military authority. So, because of the service member and the dealings you have then with the military. So, your child is then also a U.S. citizen. Mind you, his father is a naturalized citizen as well. And they sent him to Jamaica anyways. So back to what I said when I started this video. I said the administration in Jamaica, them licky bad. Because they get this money to accept these people who are being deported back into the country. And it's like they just take everybody and anybody. Another set of people I think should never be brought back into the country is the people who left the country. If your mother and father left Jamaica with you from you were 2 and 3 and 4 years old, and you never came back to Jamaica ever, and you get in trouble, say in the UK or in the US, where you were born and raised and lived your adult life and all your childhood days, you should not be sent back to Jamaica at 35 and 45 years old because you committed a crime in the country where you were raised and have been living. You are a product of that country very much. So those should never be sent back. But this case right here is even deeper than that. Because this guy was not born in Jamaica. He didn't leave at 2 and 1 or 6 months. He just was never born in Jamaica. Not only was he never born in Jamaica, he has never been to Jamaica in his whole life. But yet still he was deported to Jamaica. My audience listening, please leave your comments in the comment section below and tell me what you think about this one. Does this make sense to you? Because it sure as hell makes no damn sense to me. Why do you think the Jamaican authorities accepted him into the country? Was it right for them to say, okay, send him? Or should they have stood up and say, listen, we're willing to take back all our citizens, but he is not ours. He was not born here. He has never been here ever. It's going to be very difficult for him to adjust here. He has no connections here. He's coming here to be a burden on the system, and he could also end up in danger himself. So please do not send him here. Don't you think that would be the more appropriate thing for them to do? I'll catch y'all on the next video. It's SouFLoTV. I'm out. Peace.